to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Alderman Redpath.
Here.
Alderman Senor.
Here.
Alderman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Fulgenzi.
Here.
Alderman Proctor.
Here.
Alderman DeCenso.
Present.
Alderman McMiniman.
Here.
Alderman Tylen.
Here.
Alderman Donlin.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Mayor Langfelder.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, a quorum is present.
Thank you. I know we have a packed house, so if you could leave the aisles as clear as possible, we'd appreciate it. The Chair will entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the August 15, 2017 City Council meeting and approve the minutes. Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council first reading of ordinances into the record of this City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion to incorporate the pre-council reading of the consent agenda in the record of this City Council meeting.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Chair will entertain a motion to remove agenda number 2017-388 from the consent agenda and place it on the debate agenda.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. With the exception of agenda number 2017-388, the chair will entertain a motion to place the consent agenda on final passage.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Clerk, please record me as a no vote on 2017-401. It's a tentative agreement. Thank you.
Noted.
Is that a labor agreement?
Yes, it does.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion vote yes. Those opposed vote no. The voting is now open. And the consent agenda passes 10 voting yes, none voting no. Agenda numbers 2015-121, 2016-450, 2017-103, 2017-152, 2017-266, 2017-267, 2017-292, 2017-306, and 2017-383 remain tabled or in committee. Next item on the agenda is number 2017-388, an ordinance amending ordinance 426-12-14, establishing the Springfield Sangamon County Enterprise Zone designation, tax abatement, and ordinance 425-12-14, and authorizing a memorandum of understanding with Sangamon County regarding the enterprise zone by extending the territorial boundaries to include property located on the north half of the Sangamon County parcel number 36-18.0-200-001. The chair will entertain a motion to place agenda number 2017-388 on final passage.
Second.
Been moved and second. Chair will entertain a motion to amend agenda number 2017-388. Is that correct? No.
There is
No amendment?
There is no amendment. I'm
Okay.
sorry. That's a mistake.
Been moved and second. Discussion on the ordinance. And we do have people that have signed up to speak. So unless the council wants to discuss first. First one is Phil Gannett.
Jim, I do have one comment.
Alderman Tyler.
I would like to remind people that this ordinance for the before the city is not about breaking ground at the power plant or approving the large-scale development or anything involving the actual construction. What we are approving is expanding the enterprise zone at the request of the county. The county, whenever we approach them for expanding the enterprise zone, most recently in my own ward, we expanded it for LRS, for the expansion there. The county has never questioned. They've always been a good partner, and they've always helped the city when we've asked for that. When the county comes to us and asks for the same thing, we should give them the same respect, in my opinion. And that's what this ordinance is about expanding the enterprise zone. We're not making decisions on whether or not to break ground here. We're just expanding the enterprise zone.
Any other discussion by Alderman? Alderman Turner.
I just have a question, and please understand, my question is not meant to stifle discussion or give anybody an opportunity to speak, but I know that it's been my understanding, my 6, 7 years here, that there's a 5-minute limit on public comment, and I know last week we had some that went up to 15 minutes, so I'm just asking, are we gonna stick to the 5 minutes, or are we just gonna allow open dialogue?
I guess that'll be at the discretion of the chair. How's that? It just depends. I think what we'd like is anybody that does come up and speak, if they would say something new. You know, we were here last week, we had presentations given to the council, so if there's new items with regard, I don't think there's any PowerPoint. So if someone does come up and speak and someone follows them, just don't repeat what's been said already.
We'll have the time on.
Okay.
A point being for Alderman Turner is that we were unaware that we were allowed to have a slideshow last time like we had. And that frankly was completely out of order as far as I'm concerned. We do need to keep to the time limits because this is a very important issue to these folks and we need to get it run through.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, Bill Gannett, if you come up and state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Phil Gannett. I reside at 1616 Cressa Court in Springfield. I can be brief because you've heard me before in June, before the ordinance came out, that the Coal Association, Illinois Coal Association opposes this project for 2 reasons. The power plant will directly compete with CWLP in their generation of electricity and sale into the wholesale market. If CWLP cannot compete in that market, the revenues will go down. And if revenues go down, they're going to be made up with rate increases. And as you recall, the last electricity rate increases were because of less power sale, decreased power sale. Rates went up 4.75% in 2012 and 2% in 2013. The night that I spoke before the council in June, Doug Brown distributed a report from the Energy Authority which pretty much validated my point. Second, if CWLP generates less electricity, it'll use less coal. This means job losses not only at the coal mine, but possibly at the power plant. So Ordinance C, Exhibit C in Ordinance 2017-388 is the agreement between EmberClear and the city, and I believe this is a bad deal for the city. First, I believe any payments to offset lost energy sales should be deposited into a ratepayer protection fund. After all, the cash is supposed to be used to make up for the loss of electricity sales. The agreement, however, requires the city to use these funds for environmental-related costs. Spending this revenue will put pressure for future electric rate increases due to lost energy sales. More importantly, however, this agreement will shut CWLP out of any energy market price spikes that could occur in the next 25 years. This could cost CWLP millions in energy sales. And I want to illustrate this with an actual experience when I was general manager of CWLP in 1999. Alderman Redpath may remember we had a contract with Reliant Energy to sell our excess capacity. We had a big heat wave the last week of July 1999. And we had a contract, a capacity contract, to sell 50 megawatts of power to Silco, a 1x16, 16 hours a day, 50 megawatts. They called us on Wednesday. We said, we need that power for Thursday. How much is it going to cost? And the cost was about $1,400 per megawatt hour. So based upon that sale, $1,400 per megawatt hour times 50 megawatts times 16 hours netted the city $1.3 million just for that one sale alone. The next day, they wanted the same amount of power. Price went up, $1,800 per megawatt hour, 16 hours, 50 megawatts. Again, over $1.3 million. We also had hourly sales on those 2 days, which brought in more revenue. But my point is, those 2 days alone brought in revenue to CWLP over $3 million. This agreement EmberClear is paying the city $800,000. There's no comparison. Now, CWLP can't get its electricity out on the wholesale market. If they can't, it's going to lose out on this potential revenue, which is going to be significantly higher than this EmberClear agreement. In its June 27th report, the Energy Authority cautions that effective future extrapolation of the data in this study is impossible with any level of confidence, and lists three main factors. The report further states that forward extrapolation is generally inappropriate in determining long-term outcomes. That's why the Energy Authority's analysis is based only on an energy outlook based on this year. My point is, this is going to be a bad deal for CWLP's ratepayers. They're going to pay more for electricity, higher prices, and job losses, and the job losses are probably going to be higher than the 30 full-time jobs that will remain with this power plant. I urge you to oppose no on the enterprise agreement. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Next is Brianna. Brianna? If you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Brianna Bertolino. I reside at 607 5th Street in Pawnee, Illinois. Thank you for the opportunity to address the council this evening. I ask those of you who support this project, do you want this power plant in your community? Do you want to look at it from your front porch? Do you want to live in the blast zone in the event of an emergency? Are you willing to live with a significant decrease to your property value? Are you really continuing to invest in more fossil fuel burning energy when we're already suffering the major effects of global warming? It's no secret that Illinois residents are leaving at alarming rates. According to the Chicago Tribune, in an article from December of 2016, the Illinois population has decreased rapidly over the past 3 years alone. In 2014, we lost 12,000 residents. By 2015, that number had more than doubled to 28,500, and just last year alone, over 50,000 people left this state. The local union representative, president, sorry if I'm botching your title, Brett, addressed you all at the previous city council meeting, encouraging you to think about the laborers that may or may not relocate to the area after working on the project. But I ask you, will the number of people who move here for a 1 to 2 year job be greater than the number who leave because state government and subsequently local bodies of government continue to misrepresent the people? Illinois is suffering at the hands of government officials who have more loyalty to corporations and colleagues than their constituents. And as I stated to the Sangamon County Board in May, this proposed project is a quick fix to a severely struggling economy, as it only provides temporary jobs for a few thousand laborers and less than 50 positions upon completion. It is not the long-term community building business that it's being marketed as. My issue with the whole process has been and remains to be the lack of transparency with the project, in particular the business practices of the company at the helm, as well as the representation at each level of government that we've approached. 9 out of 10 people who spoke at the Sangamon County Board meeting were in opposition to extending this enterprise zone. 1 representative from the union spoke up and spoke in favor, showed up and spoke in favor, and every single board member voted in favor. Who is representing the constituents who are in opposition? Where are the people who are willing and able to use common sense? Who is going to stand up for what is right for the majority and not only what makes money for a few? A grassroots campaign, often referenced in context of a political movement, can be defined as one which uses the people as a given district as the basis for a political or economic movement. We are here. We are those people. We are the movement. I hope that as representatives, you are able to recognize that these movements are happening all over Illinois communities and the country as a whole. Real people are taking a stand for what's right, and we're doing it together. We are here to make our voices heard and hold our representatives accountable. I oppose this project to the fullest extent. As a firm believer in the existence of global warming and the rapidly increasing effects of it, I do not want to live in the shadow of another fuel-burning energy plant, and I do not want to be at the mercy of yet another corporation whose first priority is profit. I ask that you do not move forward with the enterprise zone extension for the purpose of building this natural gas power plant south of Pawnee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Next is Jessica Meggetson. You can state your name and address for the council. We'd appreciate it.
Jessica Megginson, 4536 East Day Vernon Road, Pawnee. Before we start off tonight, I want to issue an apology to Alderman Redpath. I was told that a presentation was acceptable by other city officials, so if I offended you, I apologize. That was not my intent
It
whatsoever.
didn't offend me, it just took up too much time.
Understood. So what I wanted to start off with today is a lot of what Bree just hit on, of course, the resident concerns of pollution and property values. So I'm not going to beat the dead horse and repeat that again for you. But one of the things that Mr. Shivey said when he was here just last week is, and talked about an opportunity and how this is an opportunity. I don't believe that is accurate. And the reason I say that is because we have seen time and time again where there are financial concerns regarding this company, and those financial concerns would definitely disrupt this opportunity. I stood before you last week and I said, I'm actually concerned for the city of Springfield. I'm concerned for Pawnee residents. I'm concerned for Sangamon County because in my opinion, this does not look legit. It looks like another K-Port Express. It looks like something that is just a promise, but there's not a whole lot of content inside. So to attach to that, I grew up in a union household. My dad was a union laborer for Union Pacific Railroad and still is to this day. So I have no beef against any of these ladies and gentlemen that are here. I know they're doing what they think is best. I'm not trying to withhold this opportunity from them because I don't feel like it's an opportunity at all. And we've been hearing time and time again how Sangamon County and the city of Springfield and Pawnee is open for business. Again, I'm not trying to close the door. Believe me, if I could get a Costco in this town, I would be one very happy lady. But that being said, again, I don't see this as a legitimate business that should be brought into this area. I touched last week on all of the financial concerns from bankruptcy agreements to lawsuits, and all of those things should be considered to a very high degree when you make your decision tonight. And last, before I go, I want to say that, unfortunately, most of the Pawnee residents haven't contributed to any of your campaigns. We haven't, at least not in any type of substantial amount. We don't have a dog in this fight at your table. I know that the gentleman behind you and the ladies behind you do contribute to your campaigns. And I know that there's political pressure on you at this moment in time. But I ask that you please look at what's best for not only the city of Springfield and not only Sangamon County, but the people of Pawnee as well. And is extending the enterprise zone to a company with a history as shady, in my opinion, as this one has, is that something that you want to put your name behind? Is that what you want to be known for when you sit in your term of office as an alderman for the city of Springfield? So we sit here before you, and I say we as in the Pawnee residents, asking for you to consider those things and not just the fact that we don't contribute large sums of money to your campaigns. The county doesn't have the same interest in this project as you do because you stand to lose from this deal. Your own report that CWLP hired TEA to do for you, it showed that. So there are losses for the city of Springfield. And if those change, if prices change, if the price of natural gas changes, that's going to put you guys at a further disadvantage. So please, I ask you to take all of this into consideration when you decide what you're going to vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Alderman Turner?
I've been an elected official in the city of Springfield for almost 20 years, and during that time, I've made a number of decisions. Some of them more meaty than others. And in those almost 20 years, I have never, ever made a decision other than on the merits of the proposal that was before me. So for you to insinuate that I am making any decision based on a campaign contribution is very offensive, and I think you owe me an apology.
Ma'am, I was not trying to pick out you personally. I'm just saying that I know sometimes these things can call to mind a decision.
Well, again, I think you owe me an apology.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Josh Collins or Chris Hembrough from the chamber. Didn't know if Josh is here or.
Chris here.
Oh, Vincent.
I think Josh had done some research he wanted to share. So,
Couldn't get up here as fast as you, Chris.
if you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
Josh Collins, work address 1011 South 2nd Street, Springfield, Illinois 62704. You're probably referring to the contact with Birdsboro and Harrison County power plants. We called them Birdsboro. I spoke to the borough manager. They had a good experience with EmberClear. Site work is currently being done. And he believes they're either laying foundations or getting ready to lay foundations. Harrison County talked to the director of the Community Improvement Corporation, spoke very highly of the company, had very good working relationship with EmberClear, and they're currently working on the air permit through Ohio EPA and through the Ohio Power Sitting Board. So it's all in process.
Any questions? Alderman Fulgenzi?
The way I understand it, the enterprise zone is only becomes effective if they start production. Is that right?
I'll refer to council.
They would have to. The enterprise zone, if adopted, only has an effect if there's actual construction.
Thank you.
And is the enterprise zone, is that they have 24 months to begin construction, is that correct?
That is contained in the memorandum of understanding with the county that the project must start within 24 months.
Question, Mr. Mayor.
Alderman McMiniman?
Josh, does EmberClear have an ownership interest in those two projects that you mentioned?
I would defer to them, but I believe Birdsboro and Harrison County, that is correct. Yeah. Yes. Are you guys 100% owners?
If he'd come up. If you would come up, please. Yep, John.
Thanks, Josh.
And state your name for the record. We'd appreciate it.
I'm John Kinnaman. I'm with EmberClear. I live in Edmond, Oklahoma.
And so Alderman McMiniman was asking about the interest in Birdsboro and Harrison County.
I can tell you that there is a percentage of ownership that EmberClear has in both those projects. I couldn't tell you factually what percentage of ownership they have at this stage.
Okay.
I think in the past we've asked for as much financial information as possible, so it's disappointing that we don't have that information, John, to be honest.
Any other questions? Next, we have, anything else you'd like to state, John, at this point? Or Josh, either one? Okay, thank you. Brad Chivy, if you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
They've been stated all night as they talk.
Brad Shivey, Business Manager, Labor's Local 477. Honorable Mayor, esteemed council, and brothers and sisters of labor. First of all, it never ceases to amaze me. When someone stands up and brings into question that the working men and women behind me make contributions to the democratic process. Unfortunately, I never see anybody speak with the same strength about companies, business owners, Isn't that strange? Don't you find that odd? I've never been here in 16 years and have anybody say that company does this, but it's always labor. As if somehow we don't deserve, like we're a lesser being, to be part of the democratic process. I find it disgusting. I find it sad that anyone would think that any of these men and women don't deserve to be part of the process. Be part of the democratic process that elects people that speak for the welfare of their family. Might tell you something about some of the speakers. Phil, got a lot of respect for Phil, dealt with him before, but I wish that when the city was negotiating coal cost, that you came with the same strength to save the citizens money. But I didn't see it that time. I came here last meeting and I spoke about opportunity, as was mentioned so eloquently. I thought it was important this evening to show you the face of opportunity. I want to tell you about Charles Davis, 47-year-old African-American male that was unemployed. Got into higher education, Lincoln Land, graduated with honors, applied at the laborers, got into the scholarship, or got into the apprenticeship program of our local. Works like he's never forgotten that he wanted in. Works on the scholarship, works on all the projects, does an amazing job. Let me tell you something about Charles. Charles cut the ribbon on the Workforce Development Center for Lincoln Land and was one of the keynote speakers. One of the keynote speakers. In that speech, he stated that this is the first time since becoming a member of Labor's Local 477 I've been able to buy my grandchildren Christmas gifts. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Opportunity. Opportunity. Stacy Bach. I met Stacy Bach when Stacy was in the Department of Corrections. I went up and I taught a class about opportunity and where to go when you get out, things like higher education, how to get into organized labor, and how to change your life. Stacy told me 2 years before she got out, I'll be seeing you. She graduated higher education with honors, came to our local, got accepted in the apprenticeship program, bought her house, got her kids back, and was one of my finest members. Opportunity. Tabitha Stambaugh. Tabitha came to me, mother of 3, had never worked construction. Graduates to the apprenticeship program. I'll never forget, Tabby would always be flagging when she was so pregnant that I was terrified to send her to work. And I said, you know, Tabby, I know it's your turn. I know you're supposed to go, but it makes me hurt to do it. It scares me. She said, that's not your responsibility. That's mine. And I'll never forget that. Mother of 3. She graduates our apprenticeship program, now is an instructor at the Laborers Apprenticeship Program. She's working on being a master OSHA trainer and is a certified trainer for Lyona. Matt Hatcher. Matt Hatcher came to us after 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Fallujah. No job opportunity, nowhere to go. Not to make a living wage, not to have benefits. You come out of the military, you served your country, there's no jobs. You need those benefits. You need a living wage, you deserve it. You would anticipate that it would be there, right? What isn't? Matt came to us, and because of an opportunity of a pipeline, he was sent out to one of the largest jobs we've ever had in our jurisdiction. He worked his way up to where they made him a straw boss, one of the only times I've ever seen that in my entire career. The type of person that he is, he worked himself up from a new member to being a boss on one of the biggest jobs we've ever seen in our 7 counties. That's quality. But it only mattered because of opportunity. Opportunity. A plant like this gives all of these men and women a chance to better themselves and have a little piece of the American dream. So the people that came before me this evening, I don't take away from the fact that you come with conviction. But your conviction cannot stand in the way of progress and opportunity for men and women who need to feed their families. They need to better themselves, and hopefully they leave this community better than the day they found it. They deserve that. They deserve that. And so they're here this evening, so when that word opportunity comes up, you can look at these faces and the names that I just gave you and know who it matters to. And I think that's important. And to the 8 organized labor groups that are here that left your families this evening, you could be anywhere, but you came here. And I commend you for that. And Charles, thank you.
Very well.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Is there anybody else that would like to come up and speak to the issue? If you'd come up and state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
My name is Jane McBride. I have emailed a number of you or all of you with my concerns, but I just wanted to reinforce that. I appreciate just a minute tonight to do so. I have had some experience with the uncertainness of the energy industry these days. I think we need to talk about, when we talk about the energy industry, we talk about it right now. And I think Phil will back me up on this, that we have highly uncertain conditions. We have a shifting energy outlook. And I think when we talk about the future of energy, we have to be realistic about what truly is the future of energy. And that most likely is not fossil fuels. So when we're looking at that, I think we need to take that very seriously. There's been comment about all we're doing is considering an enterprise zone. We wouldn't be considering this enterprise zone if it wasn't for this project. So I ask you not to abdicate your responsibility. The underlying reason for this enterprise zone is the project itself. This is not a quid pro quo with the county. This is a responsibility that the citizens of Springfield look to you to fill. We would not be here if it was not for this plant proposal. The more I look at the finances and the financials and the recent problems of this company, the more it concerns me. It was only a year ago that they filed bankruptcy. Their mission is natural gas. They went bankrupt in the heyday of natural gas. I'd like you to consider that. And the way these companies are going, it will not be another year. No, I'm not saying about this one, but we've seen a very large energy company go back into bankruptcy 2.5 years after it came out of a Chapter 11, and it was Peabody Coal that went into an expedited Chapter 7 that hurt many of our folks locally. Arch Coal, which was mentioned last week, again, that was a very significant bankruptcy for many of our local people. They were affected by that, not to mention the stockholders in that company. So we cannot be dismissive about these bankruptcies. We must pay attention to what we've got in front of us. The agreement with the city, I ask, who are you really forming an agreement with? You hear that we've only got partial ownership in these projects. Who is going to be the one that you're dealing with a year out, 2 years out, 25 years out? There is a clause in that agreement for transfer of ownership. I do not see that this agreement is part of that transfer of ownership. I see it to be a very vague provision in that agreement. So I truly, truly would ask you to think about what you are doing here. This is a huge undertaking for Pawnee. This is a huge undertaking for our energy future. Your own study was not positive. Mr. Gannett has shown the incredible risk this company is under in this market. And I really, truly think you need to be thinking about what you're doing. Bottom line is also fossil fuels. Is that what we want, additional emissions in this county? I can't emphasize enough what we're looking at with the weather right now. Harvey, the other one coming into Florida. LA is under wildfire. Portland is under wildfire concerns right now. This is your children and your grandchildren. Your children may put up with you, but your grandchildren are going to be looking at you saying, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? So I really, truly think you need to look at it. Your emphasis and your time should be in renewables and should not be in fossil fuels. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? If you'd state your name and address for the council, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Jim Dixon. I live at 7 Homewood Court in Jerome. I'm the president of Springfield Central Illinois Trades and Labor Council. And one of the things I haven't heard discussed this evening is the fact that when all these young workers go to work, they're going to be making some good wages. And that means that they'll be spending money in our community. They'll be down at the local restaurant. They'll be at the car dealers. They'll be all over our community spending money to lift our community up. And we all know that sales tax has been down in Springfield. But this is an opportunity to see a lot of good jobs where this money will be spent here in our community and will bring our sales tax up and improve that base so that it improves our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody else like to address the council on this issue? Any council members have any items? Alderman Hanauer.
One thing, you know, first of all, I applaud Alderman Turner for mentioning about voting with the lady. I too, I don't think there's one vote that I don't even know everybody that donates to us, and I've never done a vote where that's made a difference anyway, and I applaud you for saying that. What this is about is there's other locations this plant can go to. They can go to Taylorville, they can go to, I'm sure, other places in Illinois too. But the fact of the matter is, wherever it goes, it's going to impact CWLP. I mean, let's face it, it's going to impact CWLP. And what we've been able to do, and what the mayor has done a good job at doing, is getting something back to the ratepayers. Now, we owe it, as aldermen, we owe it to the ratepayers to get as much as we can to help them out. And because of that, and because I do believe in the project, and I do believe it's a great project, it'll get people to work, which we do need jobs, and I think the trickle down will help us. I would just ask for your yes vote.
Any other comments? Alderman McMenamin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dear labor friends, in particular labor friends, because you form the overwhelming majority of those in the hall tonight, and I understand the hall was filled since roughly 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and it shows massive commitment, and I think we all respect that. I just want to talk briefly about this ordinance. It's likely to pass tonight with votes to spare, so you can feel relieved, and if you're supporting this ordinance, which evidently you all are, you don't need to worry. This is going to, by all evidence, is going to pass tonight strongly. But I just want to explain some reservations I have as an elected official representing roughly 12,000 residents in Springfield. The short explanation of my reservation is that the city of Springfield, which owns its own power plant, should not subsidize a competitor that will be in direct competition with our own power plant in the wholesale market. Let me explain. We have something very special and unique in Springfield. We're the only municipality in the entire state of Illinois that has its wholly owned power plant. Chicago doesn't have that, Peoria doesn't have that, Decatur doesn't have that. We have something really special in this town that has been built up over 100 years. And so we have to be careful if we own the power plant. That's our responsibility. We have to be really careful with anything that might impact our power plant. Our power plants added together are worth over $1 billion. That's how much the city ratepayers have invested in our power plants. And we added new power plant number 4 8-9 years ago, and that power plant alone with financing cost is costing the city ratepayers $1 billion by itself with financing added in. So we've got to be careful. Now, our utility employs 500 employees. We're the largest industry in Sangamon County, the city of Springfield, 500 employees. And 2/3 of those employees are union, just like you, union. And the median pay for our city WLP employees is approaching $80,000 a year. Solid jobs. And we got to, you know, the 10 of us and mayor, we got to protect those jobs and our utility, because we still owe a bunch of money on our utility plant, the newest one. But our electric division, the last 20 years, has had a bunch of setbacks. You know, about 20 years ago, we had a power trading scandal. We promised to sell power on the open market, but we couldn't deliver. And we got about 20 lawsuits. And the total cost was expensive in the tens of millions of dollars that we were liable to because we couldn't deliver the power. And we had other problems. We had an explosion in one of our power plants. And we purchased wind contracts that turned out to be unbeneficial in the long term because the market price declined. And then, you know, more recently, again, like just said, we built a new power plant. And what was unique about this new power plant we built was that for the first time in the city's history, we decided to have more generation capacity than what we needed for our own local needs. And the premise was, we'll build this new power plant and we'll sell a bunch of electricity on the open market. But it hasn't happened. And I would suspect 10 years ago, there were meetings just like this, where labor came in strong, let's build a power plant. And we did build a power plant, but we're not selling the power like we thought we would. And so what's happened is our electric division got into serious financial trouble. We were borrowing money. The electric division was borrowing money from the water division. It was borrowing money from banks. It was borrowing money from the city. And finally, thanks to our mayor and his staff, in the last 2 years, we're starting to turn around the electric division. And how have we done it? We refinanced $500 million of debt to a lower interest, longer term, and we renegotiate our coal contract. And so we've got a turnaround. But now we got this new setback, potentially. We've got EmberClear coming on 25 miles away in Pawnee. And EmberClear wants a subsidy that the city controls, $50 million of reduced cost if we eventually go with the enterprise zone. So the basic question is, why do we want to subsidize a competitor that's going to be in competition with us when we sell on the open market? And we had a report that EmberClear will cost the city $70 million in lost revenue, which we estimate will be $20 million of lost profit. And so, to me, this is should be an easy no vote, that we can't, you know, subsidize a competitor, except for the fact that our mayor has gone out and tried to negotiate some compensation for the city. If we're going to lose money because EmberClear is going to be selling power that we might otherwise sell, then EmberClear should compensate the city. And so we've got an agreement that we're going to get to, I think, in 2 weeks. So we're going to vote on this agreement, this economic agreement between the city and EmberClear, and it's going to help compensate for the city. But the problem is, it's with EmberClear, which has a very troubled financial history, and secondly, EmberClear would get the subsidy up front when the plant's being built, but the city won't get its compensation until, for the most part, until the plant goes into being and goes into operation, and then 25 years beyond that point. So we're at risk here. And so I just want to explain that, and I'm going to just check here if there's any other points here to be made. I just want to say that, you know, a lot of talk about, rightly so, about opportunity, and we want opportunity, but it'd be I think we want the right kind of opportunity for Springfield, and for many of us, the right kind of opportunity is infrastructure projects right within our city borders. And we've been doing a lot of infrastructure. I'm proud to have co-sponsored 4 years ago our sewer fee increase. Every year for 10 years, we're increasing our sewer fees to have sewer projects within the city. And we got a lot more to do. We've got some very significant environmental remediation projects that our utility will have to undertake that will require hiring many laborers for those projects. We want to revitalize our neighborhoods with infrastructure and so forth. So there is opportunity, but from a city point of view, it'd be best to have opportunity within our city limits. So just to summarize and to close out here, thank you for your patience. You know, we're elected to represent our constituents. Let me just answer a couple of points that quote, if we don't get the project, some other neighbor city will get the project. And I think the answer to that is, and we want opportunity, and absolutely. But what some of the people that are voting yes tonight, listen to this. Some of those that are voting yes tonight privately, they're also saying that, quote, this plant will never get built. Why? Because there's a huge financing hurdle, and also because there's significant licensing requirements yet to be achieved. But because Pawnee is such a desirable site, if it doesn't get built in Pawnee, it's even less likely to get built elsewhere in central Illinois. So thank you for being here tonight, and I hope you respect a no vote tonight because someone trying to do the best for the city of Springfield. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Alderman Donlin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one quick point. The lady who spoke just a minute ago, and I know we're going to talk about this next week in committee, but according to the draft agreement that we received today, if there is an assignment, in other words, if there is another company that gets involved down the road, my understanding, Corporation Counsel, you correct me if I'm wrong, is the city would have to agree to it, and that all obligations, including the ones that were as a part of Appendix C, would be applicable and flow with the agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And then secondly, I just want to point out one thing, and I think Alderman, you're right. We are at risk. There are risks involved. But if the project is located here in Sangamon County, near Pawnee, then we have more leverage. Because if it goes somewhere else, the city gets nothing, and the city is not protected. So, Mayor, I applaud you for your efforts in getting something that addresses the concerns that we have, because this is going to get built either here or somewhere else, it looks like. And if it gets built somewhere else, the city's not going to be compensated, we're not going to be protected, and obviously we're also not going to have the jobs. So, thank you very much.
Alderman Redpath?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. You know, Alderman Hanauer hit it on the head about the sales, the coal sales, and this project's going to be built, if it's going to be built here or it's going to be built in somewhere else, it's still going to affect our coal sales overall, the power wholesale market. You know, the people that are here opposing this thing, I don't know if a lot of you know this, they're the same people that are here every week trying to tell us to shut down our power plant because they don't want the coal burning. So this is a kind of a contradictory obligation by them to come in front of us and say, don't build this plant because we're going to be back next week to oppose you on the coal side. So, you know, this is a good project for Sangamon County, and if these jobs don't go here, they're going to go to Pawnee or they're going to go to Northern Illinois. Why not Sangamon County, where we have our people here? We're going to spend their money. I do take exception. Sorry.
Easy for you to say.
With the lady's comments about the contributions to us. Let me just tell you this. I've been on the city council for up to 30 years. I can tell you right now that I've voted against a lot of things that people come and contribute to my campaign. That doesn't affect my vote one way or another. I vote for the things that are right for Sangamon County. I understand that my brothers and sisters are all sitting out here because I'm a member. I was a former member of the local 477. I guarantee you. And my brothers were electricians, and my other brothers were plumbers, and other brothers were coal miners. I got 5 brothers, and half of them are gone now, but we're all labor and union people. So I'm voting for this project because it's the right thing for Sangamon County.
Any other comments?
Just a point of clarification, Chuck. The 4 ladies that spoke tonight have never, ever been before this council on any other issue but EmberClear. So if we're going to ask for apologies, we got to treat our speakers with respect.
Well, you know what, Joe? Over there standing there with them is the Sierra Club, who comes to our city councils every week and tells us to shut down our power plants. That's what I'm talking about.
You're just making unfair comments.
And for a guy like you to even say something like that is ridiculous. And you just voted for here and pulled an ordinance off the consent agenda, which is a labor agreement for these people, and voted against it. So there.
Chuck, it's easy to make those comments when
I just watched you vote against a labor union contract.
200 or 300 behind you. So.
Well, I don't need nobody behind me, Joe.
What's great about democracy is we can sit on the opposite sides and still get along, right? So a couple points for clarification, because each person sitting up here holds near and dear to their hearts, otherwise they wouldn't be here, is the importance of CWLP. We all heard that it's the, we want to return the jewel to what it once was. And that's what we're all here for. And this council has taken strides. Alderman McMiniman pointed a couple out, but one important one he didn't point out is the restructuring of the rates. That was very important. That's one of the first steps this council took, because it provided a more stabilized cash flow to the utility. We raised the meter rate, lowered the usage rate, so we can be more competitive in the marketplace. And I touched on the other ones, but with regards to Phil Gannett, he's right. It is a risk. The power marketing, I think Jane McBride spoke to the risk, and that's what we're in. CWLP, that market's changing on a regular basis. That's what brought Phil Gannett to the city, is because of the power marketing debacle. We lost, closely to $100 million. And so, we had that. We had the wind contracts. We subsidized the wind energy when nobody else would. Other companies paid to pollute. CWLP, we improved the scrubbers, and we entered into the wind contracts because we wanted to build Dahlman 4. That's what it was all about. And the citizens of Springfield bankrolled it. And we didn't have the foresight to think about building the wind plants here, which we should have. We would look like geniuses. Instead, we build them in Florida or wherever we bought the wind from. And so we didn't have the foresight to look to the future. And this is what it's about. So the chamber brought, and the county brought this, opportunity to us with EmberClear. And originally, we're all hands off. We're conscientious about protecting the utility. But we know that it could be right in our backyard because that's how the market is. And so, I met with John Kinnaman and others from EmberClear, and we appreciate their willingness to work with us because they could have just said, well, they don't want to offset what the Energy Authority had said to us. And it is a $20 million report that's been reported to us, the impact to the utility. So we have stabilized that as best as we could. The important thing that a lot of people aren't mentioning is water. For any community that wants to grow, you have to have a reliable, quality source of water wherever you live. And all you have to do is look at Texas. They have too much water, but it's all about quality water. You have droughts going on, and so we have to protect our investment in the utility, but more importantly, not only with Springfield, but our surrounding communities. We are the backup water supply for a lot of bedroom communities. Springfield does not have a backup water source, and that's what we're driving towards, and that's why it's important to to have this partnership with EmberClear. Because natural gas, I'm not a scientist, but they tell me it's less of a pollutant than coal is. We have a coal-fired power plant, we're going to ride that as long as possible because it comes down to the bottom line. But eventually we're going to take off 31 and 32. They're going to outlive their useful life. And so we are preparing for that. How do you prepare for that? Well, that's where we take a look at the natural gas power plant. If it's built, we will blend our opportunity with natural gas, which is low in the market right now. We'll look at solar and other renewables, but it has to make financial sense for the city of Springfield, for this city council to actually move in that direction. So we are working on the agreement, the contract to protect the utility as much as possible, and that's what we intend to do. But those are some important aspects that we're trying to do, is provide certainty in this uncertain market, because that's what it's all about, is our future as a community of Springfield. And if we do it right, everybody will benefit in the future. So, with that, we have taken a look at the risks. We've minimized those as much as possible. We appreciate EmberClear and their leadership in working with us, and the city of Pawnee with working with us, the county. And that's what it's all about, is we're all on the boat together with the residents in mind, because it's just not Springfield residents, it's Pawnee's residents, everybody in between. And that's what we have to look at, is how's it impact everybody. And I think we've, are on the right track. But the bottom line is, what happens when the plant's built, and that's what we put in place with the agreement. So with that, I guess I will ask for the call to the vote unless anybody else wants to comment. Unless, Doug Brown, you want to comment on behalf of the utility?
No. Call the question. Call the question.
Before you do that, Brad, you mentioned one thing. To the young men and anyone else out here that served our country, thank you for your service. All too often we forget our veterans. They go and make plenty of sacrifices, and they leave their families to serve country. And that's one thing that just stood out. I appreciate you for mentioning that. And again, anybody else that has served outside of that gentleman, thank you for your service.
Thank you for saying
So all those in favor of the ordinance, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no. The voting is now open. Okay, is there any unfinished business come before the city council? One update on the Y Block. We did have one of the groups, they had the opportunity to bring in an international landscape architect. So the individuals coming in mid-September to take a look at the block, offer their suggestions with possibly changing their proposal as far as the open space associated with theirs. But one thing I will say, hopefully we'll have a determination by the end of September. I have reached out to the Citizens Club as well as the SJR if they want to have a public forum with regards to those three projects. We can't open the RFP process up. And what it comes down to is resources, financial resources to complete the project. What's the best fit for that area? But as importantly, who can bring the money to the table to get the project completed. So we'll wait and see if either one of them would like to have that. And it'd be more of an informational meeting than anything and ask questions. But all three projects have changed to a degree, but the spirit of each one of those proposals is still intact. Any other new business? Anything you want to share on that? Alderman Senor?
No, Mayor, I think we're doing a wonderful job. The committee's waiting for direction from you, so if anyone feels that they're left out of the process, I'm open for criticism or constructive criticism, whatever. My work number is 416-7276, so if you have any ideas about the process, please call me.
Great.
What's that number again?
I already got it. I think you
Speed dial.
I think you missed cell number. You don't want to call on work, do you?
Call me. It don't matter. Call me.
I think you gave out Chuck Redpath's number, actually. Is there any new business come before City Council? One thing I'd like to state is September 14th, we will have the next public forum related to city water, light, and power. And that's, I think you brought up Sierra Club today, and that's one of the reasons we're having it. And the discussion will be on the power market and where do we go from here. So, there'll be 31 and 32. We'll talk about that, as well as wind contracts, EmberClear, if there's anything new to add, and then ash ponds, things of that nature, as well as renewables. So,
where's that going to be located?
we're trying to get the library, but we will know for sure tomorrow.
Mayor, do you have a time?
It'd be from 5:30 to, I believe, 7 on September 14th. Any other new business?
Will we discuss the $800,000 that we get, Mayor, in that negotiation? Is that up for debate on how I know we're trying to put it back into the energy fund, but somebody brought to my attention about maybe using a portion of that for maybe starting our dredging process in Lake One. Is that something we can consider?
I think, did we follow the ordinance on that? Yeah. I think in the ordinance, we had it split with an additional pension payment and then the environmental fund associated with the utility, which could be dredging. Wouldn't that be one of them? Could that be a possibility?
I think that's water fund.
Well, that is water fund, right.
Water could address that.
Don't give Matt
Ted's
a
good.
big head.
Ted's good with it.
We can discuss
But the
that next
ordinance
week,
will
right?
be up for discussion at the committee as whole next week.
Thank you.
Any other new business? We do have a few individuals signed up to speak. First is Katie Champion.
Katie.
Hi, how are you? Thank you all so much for giving me a couple minutes to address you all. My name is Katie Champion, and I'm a passionate supporter and staff member of the American Cancer Society here in Springfield. And as many of you know, October is right around the corner, and in addition to the changing of leaves and pumpkin spice everywhere, we have some really awesome events coming up with the American Cancer Society. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary of our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk and our 2nd year of our Real Men Making Strides campaign. This issue is very important to me and to many of us because breast cancer affects so many people locally and nationwide. In fact, here in Illinois, over 10,277 people are expected to be diagnosed with breast cancer this year alone. And nationwide, that number is over 250,000. Very staggering. And just a little side note as well, 2,600 men nationwide will also be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. So it's not just a disease that affects women, it affects men too. And so it's important to know that and be aware of all of our bodies. The American Cancer Society is there to help those facing a diagnosis and their caregivers. In addition to the over $372 million we've invested into breast cancer research since 1972, we have local patient services right here in this community and communities nationwide. I too started volunteering with the American Cancer Society because cancer hit close to home. When I was 12 years old, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer and went through 4 years of intense treatment and remissions. Unfortunately, it always came back, and unfortunately it took her life at the very young age of 34. But when my mom was going through her treatment, we had no idea of everything the American Cancer Society could do. We didn't think to call. We didn't know that they provide wigs. Simmons Cancer Institute has complimentary wigs, scarves, and turbans right here in this community for anyone that's facing a diagnosis. For my mom, my grandfather spent $300 back in 1992 to get a wig. We didn't know the American Cancer Society could help with transportation. Instead, my grandmother quit her job to take my mom to and from treatment for 4 years. And we didn't know that they could help with lodging with Hotel Partners and the Hope Lodge in St. Louis. My mom had experimental treatment in St. Louis and was there for 2.5 months, and we paid for a hotel. I don't even know the cost of that, but I can tell you it probably was in the thousands. If we had known about the Hope Lodge, she could have stayed for free. So for this reason and so many other reasons, we need to really continue to fundraise for research and for help for the patients in this local community and local communities nationwide. I'd love to invite all of you to partner with the American Cancer Society by getting involved with the Making Strides Walk at the Illinois State Fairgrounds coming up on October 21st. As I mentioned earlier, this year we are celebrating our 10th year, so it's a big milestone. And more importantly, we are expected to celebrate over 125 survivors at our walk and at our Pampered in Pink event. Additionally, we have an amazing group of gentlemen that are committed to helping fundraise for this cause and to educate the community about breast cancer awareness. Our Real Men Making Strides campaign is 19 local gentlemen that have committed to wearing pink every single day in October and to a fundraising competition to see who can raise the most money for the American Cancer Society. This is our second year doing this, and last year we were blessed to have some really awesome city representation with Alderman Senior and Chief Winslow and Chief Helmrichs. And this year we're very privileged to have Brian Lawson with CWLP, Alderman Donnellan, and Fire Captain Brandon Blow on this year's campaign. So there's many people, many gentlemen to support for our Real Men Making Strides campaign, and hopefully you'll see them in lots of pink in October. In closing, I hope that you will all join us on October 21st and support our Real Men Making Strides gentlemen. But most importantly, I hope you'll all share with anyone facing a diagnosis that the American Cancer Society is local and we're here to help. Together, we truly are making a difference. Thank you.
Katie, what time is that on the 21st?
Thank you.
What is
What
the
time?
21st? Registration's at 8 o'clock. The walk starts at 9. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe this month is National Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month as well. So as you had stated, cancer touched a lot of lives in different aspects, so we appreciate you raising that awareness. Next is Reggie Witherspoon. Is Reggie here?
Reggie left.
Got swept out with the crowd, I guess.
Swept out by the sea of orange.
Brian Wojcicki. Is there anybody else that'd like to address the council? Sure.
She's taking a couple weeks off.
You'll be here by yourself.
No, give her 2. Take the other side, give her 2.
You'd state your name and address for the record, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Alice Ramey, and I live on the east side on Livingston. And I understand that we're supposed to have a pickup sometime. But I have another complaint. It's about the garbage. I'm sorry. I guess I'm the garbage patrol. Anyway, I have watched our garbage men pick up garbage along Livingston and Beach and the rest of them, and I'm appalled at the way their sloppiness is. And I also understand that they get a raise for picking up the garbage. Well, I think that raise should be deleted until they learn how to pick up garbage. But that's my opinion. I'm stuck with it. And I have another complaint, Mayor. When are you going to get the lights ready for these firemen? Because I almost got hit again, and I was parked.
As
Okay?
far as the
Yeah,
mechanism to change?
Yes,
Chief Helmrich
automatically.
is working on that.
Well,
Should be by the end of the year, I think, wasn't it?
It's really important. I know you guys don't have a lot of money in your pockets or in the back pockets or under the bed, whatever you want to call it. But it's important because it's not only me, but it's other people that are trying to beat the fire people or beat the police, and it's not working. It's not really in a good association when you don't have the right lights, okay? And another thing is, how come you don't have lights downtown or cameras downtown to really find out what's going on? Because people in general will tell you one thing and do another, as you know, Mayor.
I think Chief Winslow's working on that. Don't you have an eye in the sky that you put up at different locations, but also looking at different spots to put permanent cameras up?
And I want to thank you guys for passing the
EmberClear plan?
EmberClear thing. I really do believe that was going to be helpful. I just hope that the agreement that you make with them will also help if they belly up and not finish the project for the people that are putting their lives on the line for it, your laborers. And I think that's important, very important. And for people to complain about the noise and the smell and everything, they should live where I live, because I lived for 30 years right by the railroad. And I like the sound, but not that well, and also an oil mine. So you see, people don't really understand the progress. And I like this city, okay?
We
And if I-
appreciate that.
You know, I do like it. And you better do it right.
Chief's coming up. If you'd come up and give an overview real quick, we'd appreciate it.
Good evening. Obviously, we have some different technologies out there that we use to monitor certain stuff. We have some covert cameras that are mobile, we can place throughout the community. We also have some fixed cameras downtown in the downtown areas that we can access, as well as we're looking to expand over on 11th Street and 18th Street between Cook and South Grand, that forward area there, which kind of constricted some of our movement. Because obviously, we'd like to put cameras in our high crime areas, high accident areas, is the goal eventually, is connectivity. We have to either get Wi-Fi there, we have to get fiber there, and that's where the major cost is. Right now, for us to put like a camera system downtown, it's $13,000 an intersection. So we do have basically 6th, 5th, parts of 4th, parts of 7th, parts of 8th and 9th that are done. So ultimately, the goal is to work our way all the way down to the Capitol complex, into our critical infrastructure, downtown area, and then expand also to our high crime areas or our high accident areas, those kind of things. Some people always ask me all the time, how come we don't have red light cameras? The law prohibits communities like ours from having red light cameras right now. Those are contained just to Cook County at this point in time, and I believe maybe some of the collar counties. But it's not, you can't have them down here. So that's where we're at with that.
Alderman Senor?
Chief, did you take into account the study that DSI wants for downtown Springfield about the intersections and the placement of your cameras?
No, we have not consulted with DSI on.
I mean, would that cause any confusion, or would that cause any more added expense if they move forward with putting those cameras in and then it comes to find out that we want to change these intersections?
Well, I think theirs is driven based on police reports and activities.
Correct. Ours is based on activity reporting.
So your location wouldn't be impacted by the changing of the intersections?
If DSI wanted to speak to us, our goal is to basically cover almost every intersection downtown between 9th Street all the way to 2nd Street. Eventually is the goal, like I said, to tie it into the Capitol complex. If they ask us, we probably have cameras everywhere DSI wants. We have basically 6th Street.
I'm not asking, I'm just saying, with that study, would it impact the placement of your cameras that you're putting in? it come to find out that we wanted to move forward with changing these intersections. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, the one-ways to two-ways?
Would that have any impact?
Yeah, they'll be in sync with Public Works. I think some of that is tied to the lighting or the stoplights too, isn't it?
That should not interfere with our camera
Very
project.
good, that's what, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Before I forget, there's a Ride to Remember for 9/11, and that's on Sunday, September 10th. And it's a ride parade that will line up at Hall's Harley-Davidson at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the procession leaves at 10 o'clock. And they said you could take any vehicle. Of course, most of them will be motorcycles, but they'll allow any vehicle to participate in that procession, and it goes to the Capitol grounds, and there'll be a memorial service at 10:30 on the Capitol grounds. So even if you don't join in the procession, it's a nice memorial service that it's worth taking the time out to attend. So if you can, on Sunday, September 10th, that would be great. Anybody else wish to address the council? Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We're adjourned.